Welcome into the Fantasy Flow podcast. We are your hosts. You got Austin, you got Andy, same as always. And oh my God, so much NFL news dropped literally today as we're recording this. It's Tuesday, October 8th. And yeah, we were already just trying to fill out our show doc for this episode, and it just kept changing as the day went on. We just kept having to add to it. Massive breaking news that the New York Jets have fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. He gone, and the interim coach will just be the defensive coordinator. He'll just step up one rung. Andy, what were your first thoughts when you got that news notification that Saleh was gone?
Yeah, I texted you. I immediately went to Frank Reich with Carolina last year and how they barely gave him a chance and immediately cut him loose. That's where my first thought, initial reaction went to, and then also just how they gave Robert Saleh 5 games with the quarterback that they went and signed, went and got, and only 5 games. I mean, that's not enough. That's just unfair.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting comparison because, yeah, it was like so much sooner than anyone expected. And it's just this really well-respected dude that everyone agrees, like, knows ball. But in this case, there had been rumblings. He'd been with the team for a number of years, and they hadn't had success at all. And I, like most people, were totally willing to just give him a pass for last year when Aaron Rodgers went down, and they had to, like, I was applauding them for winning, I think, 7 games with Zach Wilson and company. I just thought they were doing anything and everything that they could to get the most out of the team. This year you have Rodgers, and it's literally the same result. You look at their record, you look at their total number of points scored through 5 games. It's the same as last year. It's like, yes, it's too soon. Yes, it's shocking. I think the Jets can still turn it around. And I think my biggest problem is, like, what does this solve? Like what was Robert Saleh in charge of that they're thinking is going to go smoother now that he's gone? I just don't get it because he's not really an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy, and their defense was rock solid, better than rock solid. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't promote Nathaniel Hackett to the head coach job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you fire the defensive head coach to put the defensive coordinator in that spot. So you're replacing one defensive scheme for almost the exact same defensive scheme and mindset and everything going forward. So
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers must have just like the tightest grip on the Jets right now, and
Yes.
that's ultimately the result that I came down to after this decision.
Yeah, they came out later today, and the ownership said that Aaron Rodgers had nothing to do with this decision, and no one believes that. Not for a second.
They have to say that.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say the opposite. Like, oh yeah, this was all Aaron. Like, no, you have to save face. You have
That
to
would be
say
so
that type of
embarrassing,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
No, I think it was last week or maybe the week before. I compared Aaron Rodgers and what he's doing to what LeBron James has done in the NBA, where it's like, yeah, LeBron's teams have a coach, but like the coach is really LeBron. You know, yes, it has a GM, but like really the GM is LeBron. Is like this is the closest thing we've seen to that in the NFL, where Aaron Rodgers, he's signing his buddies to be his teammates to come to New York, and if he doesn't like a coach, he's gone. And yeah, I don't know what this fixes, but it's just like shaking the snow globe and just like hope that hope that the players get scared into performing better. I guess it just feels like doing something just to do something. But
Yeah.
their division feels like it's wide open. After I announced that the Bills were like my number 1 team in my own power rankings in my head, they dropped 2 games in a row, and yes, the Jets are disappointing, especially on offense, but like it's all in front of them, and they play the Bills this coming Monday night. and I mean, that was already must-watch TV for any football fan, but like now it has this whole new level of intrigue. Will they get that bump that teams tend to have their first game after the head coach gets fired? Typically, we see the players rally around their new head coach, and they play with this certain amount of fear and reverence for what's going on in the organization. That's at least my perspective on it. We've seen teams get that bump when you
Yeah.
fire a coach, so that'll be super interesting to see what happens there. Elsewhere in the division, the New England Patriots made an announcement that they're going to switch quarterbacks. It is no longer Jacoby Brissett. They're going to be starting Drake May in Week 6. I think that's kind of around where most people would have guessed
Yep.
this offseason that Drake May would step in. Um, what are your thoughts on when you are a largely non-competitive team and you have a rookie quarterback? Do you think it's better to sit him or play him or kind of try and split the baby like what the Patriots are doing?
Yeah, I think splitting the baby is probably like the second best option because you want to get reps in, you want to get that real time experience. But I mean, look, we've just seen it time and time again. Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, people that have just sat behind a quarterback. Doesn't have to be a great quarterback, doesn't have to be a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Just somebody to sit behind and watch and learn from. I just I think I would wait a couple more weeks. I understand what they're doing, but if I was in their spot, I would wait a couple more weeks. Like you just said, the division is wide open. Is Drake May going to come in and light it up and win this division? Probably not. So just wait a couple more weeks. Save face, save his body, save his hits. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, their offensive line is not good, and I don't know. This timing feels weird. It feels like something that a team does when they see themselves as like playoff contenders. It's
Hmm.
like, just like with the Jets, they're like, oh, we got to make a change before this becomes like a lost season. It's like, no, Patriots, like this was a lost season. Like it always was. This is a season to self scout, see what you have, and yes, you want Drake May to get some experience, but yeah, it feels a little soon. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens, and yeah, hopefully he develops and just gains experience and doesn't develop bad habits. Instead, he just continues to learn.
Right. And the more I think about it, I mean, on the topic of the whole division, Miami's in the blender. The Jets are falling apart as we're watching them, and the Bills can't seem to stay on a certain path. So maybe this is their last ditch effort. It's like, hey, our division is actually not that great. Let's try to go make a run. Maybe that is kind of their mindset with this decision. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The Patriots were the one team that made the Jets look really good. I think that the Jets
True.
beat them by like
True.
20. So I don't think that they actually have any hope, but they might think that they do, and I hope that's not the case. Um, Somewhere in all of this Jets nonsense is Devonte Adams, and as of this recording, he's still a Raider, and he still
Hmm.
has no plans to play for the Raiders. It sounds like so they're still trying to trade him, and I know the Jets just keep coming up, and they just seem like a good match to me. And I want your thoughts on this, but the Raiders have no leverage. They need to get rid of Devonte Adams, or else they just lose him for nothing at the end of the
Hmm.
season. It feels like. And then the Jets are the only team out there. Clearly, they're desperate as heck. And so, to me, that seems, and they have the money to do it. I mean, why hasn't it happened already?
Yeah, I honestly I was expecting some news today. I kept on checking my phone to see if a sleeper notification would come through saying he got traded. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this week. Maybe they're holding out just to see the best price possible, the best pick possible. I don't know. It's crazy to me that yeah, he hasn't been traded at this point.
Yeah, no, and it's super tough because it seems like the two teams who would be most willing to pay up, one of them is the Steelers, and Devontae Adams just doesn't want to go there. And then the other one is the Chiefs, which for the Raiders. That's your division rival that you're trying to knock off. So,
Yeah.
where are you at on that debate of, well, if the Chiefs are offering the best offer, shouldn't the Raiders just take it? Or would you absolutely not give your division rival, reigning Super Bowl champion, one of your best players?
Yeah, it would have to be a first round pick. I mean, because that first round pick is either the 30th, the 31st, or the 32nd pick. So it's like in our dynasty league, it is just because it says first round pick doesn't mean really anything when it comes to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would have to be a first round, maybe another player. Maybe send Juju or something. I don't know. That would be hilarious in my mind. But yeah, you're right. They have no leverage, and like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens this week.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And yeah, we'll cover that in depth when it happens. Elsewhere, the New Orleans Saints, they just got basically manhandled by the Chiefs. And they looks like they lost their quarterback Derek Carr to an injury, and he's going to be gone for multiple games. They're saying the backup, I believe, is Jake Hayner, who's just a total jag, just a guy, and they have Spencer Rattler, who is one of these super seniors in college. He was, for those of you who don't know, Spencer Rattler, he was like the best high school quarterback in the nation. He had all this hype. He had his pick of the litter any college, and they threw him to the wolves a little too soon, as a true freshman, and he underperformed. And there were also reports of him just not being well liked among his
Hmm.
teammates, and he ended up bouncing around to a couple different schools, um, similar to like Bo Nix, but with character concerns.
Right, right.
And yeah, less production for sure near the end. So he's always had just a cannon of an arm, and he has loads of starting experience. I think he fell to them in like the fifth round or something, and that's who they're talking about starting for the next few games. So I know that I kind of painted a positive picture there, but I'm worried for the Saints. How
Oh
about
yeah.
you?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Taysom Hill comes in and plays quarterback. Honestly.
Yeah, he's been hurt for the last couple games, but as someone who loves fun, I want to see Taysom Hill at
Yeah.
quarterback for 4 quarters.
Me
It's been
too.
way too long since we had that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they can do some dual quarterback combos, just like if Derek Carr was in there, throw Rattler in
Mm.
for a drive and then bring Taysom in, then the very next drive put Taysom in and then Rattler at the end zone, like just keep the defense guessing because they are going to be pinning their ears back and they're going to be coming for whoever is the quarterback because they know it's not Derek Carr.
I would love that. That just sounds so chaotic, and I'm totally here for it.
Yeah.
They play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. Um, Honestly, a bit of a gift to the Bucks. That was going to be a very tight game, and yeah, although the point spreads and everything are already shifting, and
Right.
we'll see what happens there. I know there are a lot of fans in New Orleans who want to see Spencer Rattler. They just want to see what they have, and so this
Hmm.
is an
Hmm.
opportunity for them to see what they have there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, Dennis Allen is fighting for his job, so you might as well be chaotic. You might as well throw everything against the wall and see what sticks. That's my point of view.
Yeah. No, and speaking of seeing what you have, let's transition to our Seattle Seahawks. I feel like through the first 4 weeks, we saw them beat up on bad teams and then lose to a good team in the Detroit Lions. And here comes the New York Giants, a team that the Seahawks were favored by nearly a touchdown, and they lose. They lose by 9. They got embarrassed. Tell me,
Boo.
tell me your thoughts on the performance there and who's to blame.
Oh, everybody. I mean, when you lose on all
Mm.
three fronts, it's going to be impossible to win the game. I mean, you lose on special teams, you lose on defense. You had a couple lucky, like, one offs that helped us on defense, but our offense struggled. Our defense couldn't tackle. Gosh, it just looked like the old days with Pete Carroll the last 2 years of just our guys just running around and they can't wrap their hands around anybody. I mean, oh, just what a frustrating game. We made these backups on the Giants look like Pro Bowlers. I mean, gosh dang it.
the New York Giants were without their best player in Malik Neighbors and their second most productive player on offense, Devin Singletary. And Daniel Jones looked so comfortable when he was on the field. They dominated time of possession, which was killing me for fantasy football. But the Giants just had the ball the whole time, it felt like. And Daniel Jones was just comfortable. He was sitting back there. I think he got sacked one or twice, but really it was just the underneath routes were just so open. And there's a problem with Seattle's secondary. It's broken because the Lions absolutely shredded it. I mean, Jared Goff was perfect. Daniel Jones wasn't perfect, but he had his best quarterback rating of the season in
Yeah.
Seattle. Like, that should
Ugh,
never happen.
no.
And then on the other side, it wasn't a good Geno game. It wasn't a bad Geno game. I just think the Seahawks offensive line got embarrassed by the Giants defensive line. And it's just hard to get anything going in the run game or passing game. They just dominated in both phases. So
As much as we laughed about the Giants during the HBO series of Hard Knocks during the preseason, I mean, to their credit, they addressed the line on the offensive side and on the defensive side, and it definitely showed that game. And this is why I had such a hard time disqualifying them, is because I saw what they were doing on the defensive side of the ball, and I know they were trying to make a point of emphasis back there. And like I said, it really showed against our patched up, low experienced offensive line.
yeah, no, they, like I said, they dominated time of possession, and it was just Seahawks couldn't get anything generated on offense. Kind of a lack of creativity, if I'm being honest. I feel like you could have tried a couple different things, but
Right. The Giants converted a 3rd and 17 on their in the first quarter, and it was so infuriating watching that, them just driving down the field in the very first drive and doing whatever they wanted.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's about all the time we need to spend on the Seahawks.
Yeah. Good idea. Good
Hopefully,
idea.
I would say hopefully brighter days ahead, but Thursday night football, 49ers come to town. And hey, they've lost a couple in a row. They seem like a team that's trying to find themselves, and we know Christian McCaffrey's not coming back. So the Seahawks absolutely have a chance in that game. And with the 49ers, we still have that one game advantage over the 49ers. So that advantage is either going to double or it's going to disappear. It's about as
Oh, God.
ominous as I can set up that game.
Right, right. I just hope for a good battle. That's all I hope for.
I hope the Seahawks win, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if we could be a little more competitive against them than we were against the Giants, that'd be really cool.
Right, right.
Andy, hit me with a reaction for the action that went down in the NFC.
Sure. I'm going to stick to the NFC West here. I'm going to overreact and say that the Rams will finish last in the NFC West. And the NFC West will only produce one playoff team, only the division winner. Yeah. Yep. I'm going there.
Oh man, yeah. So you did this with the NFC East last week. You said only no wild card teams are coming from the NFC East, and now you're calling your shot again for the West. We talked about how loaded the North is, but let's keep this conversation on the first of all, the LA Rams. They're already in last place. Everyone's kind of giving them a bit of a pass because they're missing Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Those guys are inevitably going to come back, but you're just not seeing it. Is it too little, too late? What's
Yeah.
got you down about the Rams besides all the football that they're playing?
I just saw a notification that Puka's bound to miss another month, maybe more. I mean, that's not great news. Cooper Kupp is old, battered man. Matthew Stafford is an old, battered man. The defense is young and exciting, but they obviously can't carry the game for the team. So I don't know. I don't see how the Rams can come out of this. We said this last year. I mean, we saw their
Hmm.
production last year and said the same thing. They just looked so bad, and then at the very end, they make this great stretch to
Yeah.
work their way into the playoffs. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think they're finishing fourth. I think Arizona looks a little too good to finish in last place, and it's definitely not the Seahawks, and it's definitely not the 49ers finishing last place either. So.
I like that. Yeah, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. I mean, they're literally sitting in last place. And yeah, just because those players come back, that's not going to make your defense better. And their defense looks miserable.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. That's not going to make Kyron Williams any better after contact. He's running through open holes and he's being productive for fantasy, but he doesn't look like a game-changing running back. My NFC reaction, I'm gonna call back all the way to Thursday Night Football. Feels like forever ago, but I'm talking Bucks Falcons. That was one of the best games of the whole week. And we got it in prime time. It was prime time Kirk Cousins. You can talk about that a little bit if you like, but 500 yards from Kirk. He needed overtime to do it. It was a heck of a finish. But I want to talk about the other side. I want to talk about Baker Mayfield right now, specifically as it comes to fantasy football. Baker Mayfield, and scoring settings are going to vary throughout different leagues, but right now Baker Mayfield is QB3 on the year for fantasy football, behind Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. Baker Mayfield number 3, and my reaction is that he's here to stay. I think Baker Mayfield finishes the year as a top 6 fantasy quarterback.
Isn't he? Doesn't he wear number 6?
I think he does, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. I'm gonna say overreaction. Yeah, Joe Burrow's playing out of his mind. Lamar's playing really good. We forgot about Jalen Hurts and having
Mm.
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown coming back. So what? That's 3. Let's see, what other 3 can I make up real quick? I'm thinking like,
Geno Smith is QB5. Are you worried about? Are
wow,
you think Geno versus Baker rest of season? Kyler Murray
no.
versus Baker rest of
Okay,
season?
I'll put Kyler. Yeah, I'll put Kyler. Okay, so there's 4.
What about C.J. Stroud? He's total pocket passer. We've seen a little disappointment so
Yeah.
far.
No, Baker can outdo him with his legs.
What about Dak Prescott?
See, now that's the line in my mind is who's going to have a better rest of season, Dak or Baker? And
Dak's
that's
hardly even using C.D. Lamb, and Brandon Cooks is hurt, and Baker Mayfield's just got troves of weapons. He has 2 like number 1 wide receivers, and these other guys are cycling through. One's it's going to be a McMillan game here. It's going to be uh, Trey Palmer is going to catch a deep pass. Like he's got tons of weapons. He has 2 running backs that that you don't know now that they're using both of them 50-50, which sucks for fantasy, but for the NFL team, the defense doesn't know if you're going to run or pass, and we were seeing both of their efficiency go up. I just I don't think this is just a hot start. I think the Bucks are going to have a great offense.
okay. I think he'll finish right at 6. I
At
think
6.
yeah, yeah, 6. Yeah, I think he'll finish right at 6 cuz we forgot about Jaden Daniels and what a year he's having.
He's already ahead of him. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Lamar,
yeah.
Jaden, and Baker at 3 right now through the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I can't think of. And Josh Allen is just so. I mean, this has to be his worst. This has to be Josh Allen's worst fantasy production year. So, and like I said, they just can't find their path. So, yeah, okay. I changed my mind. I give it to you. He's going to finish right at number 6.
How about the AFC?
I'm not going as spicy as I have been in the past. I got to be honest, but I'm going. I'm going to say, based on that Monday night game with the Saints, that the Chiefs have the number 1 defense in the league. Now, that's not where I end this, though. I think the Chiefs will only lose 2 games this year, and I'm going to predict which games
Oh.
they're going to lose.
What you said this wasn't spicy. You're predicting the
I
exact
mean,
finish.
yeah, I'm predicting their exact finish, and I'm predicting the games they're going to lose. So I think they're going to lose at home against the Broncos week 10.
Okay.
Divisional game. They got to lose one in Arrowhead, and then they're going to lose all the way in week 17 against the Steelers in Pittsburgh because
Gross.
maybe they yeah, like they're having their bye week this week, so I think they're going to rest up now, and then by week 17 they're going to be tired. They're going to be trying to keep their
Hmm.
number one spot, and that's just going to be that fluke game. No matter who's starting for the Steelers, I
That's
think they
probably
lose.
how the Steelers get that winning season that they always get.
Exactly, and maybe how the Steelers make the playoffs. Who knows? But
Yeah, yeah.
that's where I'm at. Is yeah, Chiefs only lose two games the rest of the year.
So you liked what you saw on Monday Night Football, is what you're telling
Oh
me.
my gosh, dude, how do they keep on winning? They lose Hollywood Brown. They lose Rasheed Rice. They lose Isaiah Pacheco to a broken leg, even if this dude does come back.
Yep.
Like, what will he look like? They signed Kareem Hunt off the streets.
Yeah.
Juju, couple years back, like superstar now. Like it just it's their defense. I don't care about offense. They have this very shiny gem named Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid as a head coach, but it is their defense carrying them, and it is just not what we're ever accustomed to with the Chiefs. But we've just seen enough to say that. I mean, they could go undefeated, but I don't think they will. I think they're going to lose to the two games that I mentioned: the Broncos and the Steelers.
Right. No, yeah, and they lost top three cornerback in the league, L'Jarius Sneed, in free agency, and they didn't even replace him. They just backfilled. They said, okay, yeah, we like the guys. The other guys are getting more playing time. We'll figure it out. And they have. And like, yeah, it wasn't even really competitive on Monday against a team
No.
that has shown serious flashes of production. So I can't say I disagree. I mean, I'm pretty much done picking against the Chiefs.
Yep. Me too.
It's
Me
just
too.
crazy. And yeah, by the way, Travis Kelsey is totally back. Uh, they said
Yeah.
that his production was down just because they were using Rasheed Rice so much. Well, Rice is gone, so they just go right back to Kelsey. Kelsey's not.
Yep.
He's not done. He's not toast.
No.
No,
No.
they
They
just.
just wanted to limit. Yeah, and
Yeah, they
they
just
did
wanted to
limit.
win in that way, but they can't anymore, so they'll just win this
Right.
way. Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk some AFC North. How about that Ravens Bengals game?
Oh my gosh, what a shootout.
I think that was one of the best games of the year. I cannot believe that the league buried it on like the 10 a.m. slate. I had to go
Yeah.
like find some sort of a black market stream to even watch it because it wasn't nationally televised. I'm watching the Cleveland Browns. That's the nationally televised game.
Oh
I go to the
gosh.
bar. I'm with my wife. I'm getting some Bloody Marys, and I just want to watch some good football. And what do I see? I see Deshaun Watson on the TV. And I'm like, what's going on? I gotta get home and put on the good game.
Yeah.
That one play from Lamar, he just stiff arms Sam Hubbard, who's like a monster of a human, and he just treats him like you would your 10-year-old nephew or whatever. You're just holding him off with one hand, and you're like figuring out, what to do with this ball. He throws him to the turf and then just runs to the sideline, flips it for a massive, what was it, 30, the ball easily traveled 30 yards, just touchdown. It's so casual. It was one of the best quarterback plays that I've seen that I can remember. And Burrow I mean, you should talk about Burrow because you're pretty invested in this offense for fantasy
Yeah.
purposes, and he absolutely stuffed the stat sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I did not complain one bit. I got Burrow in a couple pieces all over my leagues, and man, I was not upset. It's crazy that we get that Kirk Cousins
Hmm.
Baker Mayfield type of game on Thursday night. Then we get that game in the morning, and then all the afternoon games were just these like fluke defensive like crazy returns for touchdowns and
Sure.
whatnot. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it was football's back, baby. Like
Oh
let's
man.
go.
Man, yeah, it totally looked like the Ravens were going to win it, and then Lamar fumbles, and it's like, oh my God, the Bengals just need to get one first down, and they get nothing. They run the ball up the middle three times in a row. When you're like on the cusp of field goal range, you just run it up the middle three times, despite Joe Burrow having thrown for 500 yards. You just take the
Jeez.
ball out of his hands, and you set up for a field goal, which the holder botches, and then Derrick Henry finishes you the very next play.
In one play.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus, Murphy.
I mean, football is the most physical sport, but it's also so mental. Like that defense
Hmm.
had to be deflated, and the Ravens, after they missed that field goal, the Ravens had to just be on over the moon and so excited to go win that game. You know what I'm saying? It's like that
Yeah.
very next
Yeah.
play, you just the wind is out of your sails if you're the Bengals, and the Ravens couldn't be more jazzed. But my AFC reaction is about the Browns and how shitty that was to watch. I think the Cleveland Browns will have a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this coming rookie draft, and they'll use it on a quarterback.
I don't know if they'll use it. I totally agree with the top 5 pick. The way that they're going, I see pressure from the owner and the GM to keep Watson as quarterback until he just completely. I mean, they have to ride it out this year. They really have to ride it out for this year and next year, but they're
Well,
definitely riding it out this year.
okay, write it out for the end of the year, and then you cannot sell this product to your fans for another year, I don't think. And I just have one stat that I want to share. Total points that they've scored in each game so far this season. You ready? The Cleveland Browns, week one, 17 points. Next week, 18 points, 15 points, 16 points. And then last week against the Commanders, 13 points.
Yeah, that's bad. I don't think they care about the product they're putting out for their fans. That coach deserves so much better. I feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about the Giants when we were talking about the Seahawks game and how they're not really competitive on offense, but they have a great defense. I feel like you could say the same thing about the Browns. You could say the same thing about the Raiders. It's like a lot of these bad teams happen to have good defenses. The Broncos were one of them. Looks like their offense is
Hmm.
coming around, but it's like, man, the offense just has to do enough. And the Browns offense with Deshaun Watson is not even coming close to doing enough. So
No.
they are currently one of 7 teams with just one win this season. Uh, but man, yeah,
And they
I
beat.
just feels like Shador Sanders is going to be wearing a Cleveland Browns
Ooh.
uniform this time next year.
Ooh. Okay, that should have been that should have been it right there.
I should have
That's
just
that.
gone hyper specific from the jump.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that take.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Their one win was against the winless at the time, the winless Jags. So,
Especially, yeah, yeah, exactly. That
yeah.
win looks worse and worse. So
Yeah. Funny how you can say that. A win looks bad.
it does. Yeah, it's like so what, you know? Like in college football all the time. It's like, oh, okay, so you won some games. Well, how good are those wins? You know,
Right, right. How
one
good was
one
that
team can
team?
have a loss that looks better than one of your wins.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they win less than 5 games. I mean, even with
Yeah,
Nick Chubb coming back, this you're right. They're below the bare minimum.
exactly. Like I said, that offense is not doing enough, even if they had one of the best defenses in the league.
Right, right.
All right, let's go ahead and transition to our Guillotine Listener League. Another week, another team, another neck getting severed by the blade.
Yikes.
This week it was our buddy John, John Overland. He got chopped, and the combination of inaction is that too strong of a
No,
characterization?
no.
Uh, Inaction and his running backs really let him down. He had 3 injured
Yeah,
running backs: Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon, and Devon Achane got hurt at the very beginning of the game, which is an absolute killer in guillotine.
right.
JT and Joe Mixon, those were two that were kind of questionable for most of the week. If you read into it, it was pretty obvious JT's missing probably 2 games. I think we said that on the
Hmm.
podcast last week. And then Joe
Hmm.
Mixon's been just kind of leading on fantasy
Oh
managers.
my
We
gosh.
just assume he's going to be back, and then he's not, and that just sucks. So
What is going on with Joe Mixon, man?
I don't know, but like all 3 of these guys uh, are available for the rest of us to pick up, which is
Ooh,
quite the conundrum. You know what I'm saying? Because JT's probably gonna miss another game, but
Right.
then he'll be back. So like, what price do you pay? And then Achan is hurt. The offense has been bad anyways, and they're on their bye week this week. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of really head scratching decisions for like how much you want to bid for these great running backs.
Yeah, I would say Jonathan Taylor is probably the best prize in the pool, but and if you want to spend, a good amount, then go for it. Like we said, he's probably going to miss this game and then be back. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody for that. But the other players, Joe Mixon, Devon Achan's on a bye. He's
Mm-hmm.
hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mixon there's no sight at the end of the tunnel, no light at the end of the tunnel. So I mean, I'm not really going for any of these guys. I'm putting $20 down, 20 couple, couple $10 bills on them. If I get them, great. I'm in a
Yeah.
pretty good spot in that league, so
Yeah, and I'm not. So,
yeah, yeah,
but like, are
yeah.
any of these guys going to help me right now? So
No,
yeah,
they're not.
so
And you
tough.
already have a guy on your team that's not helping you for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I
So,
just lost Nico Collins. So
yeah, and Chris, I was going to say Chris McCaffrey, but yeah, losing Nico really hurts too. So,
oh.
um,
I picked up CMC for $4.
right,
He's not
right,
really
right. But
factoring into my plans, but yeah, he is
no,
taking up
but
a bench spot. Like I think that's what
that's
you're
what I
getting
mean.
at,
Yeah.
right?
How
Yeah,
many players do you want on your team that are just not doing any, getting 0 points? And that's Guillotine. But Guillotine is that's the death nail for Guillotine is getting zeros, getting goose eggs.
exactly. So, moment of silence for John.
The tribe has spoken.
All right.
Hey, yay.
Then there were 13.
Oh wow, we still have so much more to go.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. While we're eliminating, let's switch gears and shift our focus to NFL teams that need to be eliminated from the NFL playoffs. So far, we've eliminated the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, the New England Patriots, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said earlier, so the Jaguars actually picked up a win, so there are no defeated teams left. There are 7 total teams with just 1 win. And Andy, let's get your thoughts. What NFL team jumps out to you as, besides those 4, having absolutely no shot to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go with the Raiders. They've been they've been next in line for so long, and I'm fed up with them. I'm gonna just before you give your take, I'm just gonna read a couple things that I wrote down here. Just got word that the head coach is doing a quarterback competition in week 5. I mean, that is like the most like slap to the forehead move I've ever heard.
Like he doesn't know which one of them is better.
Y- doesn't know which one is better and doesn't know which one to trust. They're going to trade Devontae Adams, so they're already getting rid of their best player. They already actively trying to get rid of their best player on their team. Their defense is just already battered up. I mean, it just seems like these guys can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field. Their star defensive player, Max Crosby, didn't play, right? Their linebackers are just constantly being hurt. And then also, guess what division they're in? They're in the Chiefs division. So they have no chance to win the division. So that means they have to earn their spot in a wild card. And the Broncos are looking better in their own division. The AFC North that we just talked about. I don't see how there's room for the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean the Broncos just beat them, so
Right.
um,
Right.
at best you're third in your division. But yeah, I want to talk about Devontae Adams and Max Crosby. Those guys are like best friends, and I wonder, Devontae Adams says, "Oh, I have this injury, I can't play,"
Oh,
and
yeah.
we all know it's contract related. I mean, how motivated is Max Crosby to play through his injury when the team sucks? They're playing shenanigans with their quarterbacks, and his best bud is just opting out. Like I'm not questioning Max Crosby's like will to
Integrity.
win or integrity.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, everyone's hurt every week in the NFL,
Right.
and this whole Devontae Adams situation and the fact that they're playing these games with the quarterback, that's demoralizing for an entire team. And those are some of
Yeah.
your team's leaders, like Max Crosby, Devontae
Yeah,
Adams.
definitely.
That's who guys look to, and those guys are saying, "Good luck out there."
Yeah. Yeah. I think Max Crosby is kind of used to this at this point, as sad as that is to say. I think he's too much of a dog to skip out. If he's really hurt and not playing, I totally believe him. But Devontae Adams is at his point of his career where he's saying, get me on a Super Bowl winning team. Get me on a team that has a chance to get to the Final Four, because I'm tired of this baloney. And I want a ring, gosh dang it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a super tough situation. I think that as a team, it's so tough. I think as a team, they're better than the Browns, especially based on the first 5 weeks. I don't think that's really in doubt. I think that the defenses are pretty comparable, and the Raiders' offense has shown serious flashes. That pick six that Gardner Minshew threw, the 100-yard pick six, that was an awful throw. Like it wasn't, for those of you who are just box score watchers, this wasn't one of those like, it bounces off the hands and is a fluky pick. It was like he was on the run, threw it off his back foot, and he sailed it, and it went straight to the defender. Before that, he was a perfect 9 for 9, 100 passing yards and a touchdown. Like, this team is so weird how they can look super competent one quarter and just look totally miserable the next quarter.
Yeah. They
They're
have
sitting
no run
at
game.
no running game. Yeah, I was so wrong about Zamir White in the offseason. Man, they're 2-3, and the Browns are 1-4. And if we talk about other teams in their division, I mean, the Browns have 3 other good teams in their division. I phrase it like this: the Browns deserve to get eliminated here, but the Raiders are literally asking for it.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
I couldn't have said
okay.
it better myself. Yeah,
All right.
that's perfect.
I feel like we should just oblige and eliminate the Raiders, who are, honestly kind of eliminating themselves with all this
Yeah. Yep.
nonsense. So,
I agree.
all right.
Bye-bye.
Raiders, you done.
You gone.
Alrighty. Well, now we reach the part of the show where we provide some fantasy starts and fantasy sits for your fantasy team. Who's flowing into your lineup, and who are you flowing out of your lineup? Andy, can we go ahead and start with you? And we'll start with some players that we like, because I think we need some positivity after that.
Yeah. I like that direction. Yeah, I'm going to go with quarterback right off the bat. I'm going to go with Justin Fields. He had a rough game against Dallas. Not a lot of fantasy production. Not a lot of using his feet. Missing some throws. But I am here to tell you that is in the past. That is in the back door. The Steelers are going against the aforementioned Raiders. And I think this is going to be a perfect game for Justin Fields to get right and show that he deserves to stay the starter on this team.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields has been very safe. He's been a good game manager, and when you have a great organization and a great defense, that is enough to win games, as we're seeing. It's totally different from the Justin Fields that we saw in Chicago. That Justin Fields was erratic. He was getting sacked. He was throwing picks, and this is just totally different, which
Right.
he's not blowing anyone's minds. He's not stuffing the stat sheet, but he is managing these games. And, sometimes they win in other ways. Sometimes they win with field goals, and other times they win because Justin Fields ran in 2 touchdowns. So
Right.
I like this call. I think it's a good matchup. And, yeah, Justin Fields is absolutely startable this week. I got a young quarterback of my own. I'm going with Caleb Williams For the Chicago
Ooh.
Bears, they're going to London. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars across the pond. The Bears, I almost picked the Bears as one of my picks against the spread. I just think this sets up for them so well.
Mm.
That Jaguars defense is vulnerable, and the Bears, they have all three of those great receivers that we're talking about. They're all there. He's showing good chemistry with DJ Moore. Keenan Allen is back from his injury, and Odunze, he has his sea legs under him as a rookie. I feel like he's really he's shown flashes of production. So he has all three of those dogs against a vulnerable defense. I think he's startable.
And DeAndre Swift, man, is he coming on through for this team? I mean, gosh, that's just what Caleb needed. I mean, as much as crap as we talk about DeAndre Swift and joke about him, like they just needed a run game, and now that it's actually coming together, like now Caleb's
Yeah.
coming together. So yeah, I think this trend continues upward. I'm with you.
The last 2 weeks, how many fantasy teams benches did DeAndre Swift put up all those
Oh
numbers
yeah,
for?
out of like the night, like 85% of teams that own him, probably close to 45% of the
Half of
teams
those
had him on
teams
the
had to,
bench.
yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
All right, how about you have a running back?
I do. I'm going with my guy, Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, he is going against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday morning. They're at home. They're coming off a bye. I'm switching subjects to a different player on the same team, Calvin Ridley, and kind of Will Levis. Like the offense as a whole, I mean, I have to. I'm sticking on like my soapbox here of Tennessee. Like, I feel like there's got to be some change that happens, and this bye week was perfect to just like reset, like reevaluate, and I think something's coming. I don't know how big or how small it is, but I think something's coming for Tennessee, and I want Tony Pollard. I mean, he is definitely he's the lead back. He's the feature back. They paid him all the money. I think he's got a good matchup against the Colts. It's a divisional game. The Colts go from the Jaguars to the Tennessee Titans, so they play back-to-back divisional games. They're going to be beat up. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, we got to go through this again. So I'm
Yep.
throwing Tony Pollard in my starting lineup.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that game later. The Titans only have 3 losses because they just had their bye week. Kind of a preview for next week. You know, the Browns, we did not eliminate them, and they are 8.5 point underdogs against the Eagles next week. So if they take
Wow.
another L, which it seems like they will, I imagine, you know, they're next on the chopping block as it stands.
Right, right.
But the Titans, if they don't turn something around here in this game against the Colts, which is basically a pick 'em, the Titans have 2 weeks to prepare, and no one knows. Are they starting the old man, or are they starting the knucklehead second year player in Anthony Richardson? It's like this is
Yeah,
a beatable opponent that you've had time to prepare for. Let's see something. I am so excited
right.
to see something. I don't know that we will see anything, but I want to see something
I
from the
want to.
Titans.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So that is definitely something to watch for next week. My running back that I'm playing, ugh, I don't like it. This was a tough week for me to pick some of these players. We don't want to go obvious, right? Like there are some running backs with great
No.
matchups that you're obviously starting.
Right.
I went with Rico Dowdle. Uh,
Okay.
he had a great game
Okay.
Sunday night. Was it like Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on where you're at in the country?
Right.
Rico Dowdle had a great game, and that was against a tough defense. He's going, I think they're going to Detroit, so that's another
No,
tough
they're
defense.
at home. They're at home.
Oh, okay. So yeah, another tough defense, but he just did it against the Steelers, and they're at home,
Yeah.
and it's just a volume play. You know, you can do worse if you have one of those injured running backs we were talking about earlier. You're dealing with bye
Mm-hmm.
weeks. Rico Dowdle is totally he's a safe volume play that you can start, and he has upside.
Yeah, and he might be on your waiver wire. You might have to spend a couple bucks to go get him this because of his performance last week. But
Worth
I
it.
mean,
Worth it.
he's obviously better than Zeke. He's obviously better than Dalvin Cook that's sitting on the practice squad.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
no, this is a rest of season thing. Like this isn't a
yeah,
fill-in. Yeah,
for sure.
definitely add him to your team if you're in need of running back, or even if you're not. All right, who's your third player that you're flowing into your lineup this week?
Yeah, gonna stick with the same game actually. I'm going Jameson Williams. I think people are hesitant to throw him in there because he's like the third, fourth, maybe the fifth option if you count the
So
running
boom
backs.
bust. Yeah.
Yeah, so boom bust, but I'm here for it, baby. I'm here for the risk. I'm here for the reward. Going against Dallas, that has proven to not be the greatest defense. I think they do have Micah and Dexter Lawrence coming back, but Demarcus Lawrence. Yeah. Anyway, I'm here for it. I'm here for the risk. I'm here for the reward. I think Jameson's going to have a big game. I think they're going to really hover over St. Brown, and Laporta really hasn't been that threatening. So I think when Jared Goff does throw it, he's going to try to get Jameson involved. And what's another great thing about Jameson is they use him in the run game. They use him in the pitch game, in the backfield. So if they can get him out in space, I mean, he's gone. We all know this guy's speed. So I get the hesitation, but I'm here for it. Let's plug and play, baby.
Yeah, I was just checking, and that game has the highest over/under of any game this week, except for Ravens Commanders, because
Oh,
that game is
yeah,
going to be amazing.
yeah,
Jaden
yeah.
Daniels, Lamar Jackson, holy crap! But yeah, no,
Right.
Lions Cowboys. We'll talk more about that game later. Yeah, I expect a lot of points. So you just want players in games like that.
Yeah, I want players in that game, and Jameson is probably the fastest player on both sides of the
That
field.
doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going. I know I just said that. I'm going total opposite. This is one of the lower projections for the total over unders of the week, but I'm going with Tank Dell for the Houston
Oh,
Texans because Nico Collins is gonna miss. I know it says depending on what format you're in, it'll say out or questionable, but Nico Collins is definitely missing at least
hmm
one, probably 2 games, and against a Patriots defense that is not the Patriots defense of old. I think Tank Dell's going to be very involved. I think they have one great cornerback, Christian Gonzalez, and he's going to be busy with
hmm
Stephon Diggs. So maybe I'm kind of reading a little too far into it, but I think Tank Dell is definitely a startable player this week with a plus matchup.
Didn't Julius Peppers just get arrested from that team?
Oh my God. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that headline. They listed like 5 felonies that he was arrested.
Oh gosh, yeah. So I mean, the team morale has to be down, and when you lose one of your best defensive players on your team, yeah, it's gonna definitely take a hit. So I'm a Tank Dell owner, and
Hmm.
yeah, that's a spicy one. I got to give it to you because I have just been disappointed week after week, and you're right. Nico is hurt, and they're gonna have to pass the ball.
Look at it this way. Look at it this way. If not now, then when?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. He kind of fits in that Jameson category of that boomer bust. He's on a really good offense. He's has great hands, great connection with his quarterback. But if he doesn't thrive, that means the other wide receivers or other pass catchers are thriving. So it's just too many chefs. It's just too many chefs in the kitchen, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Going into the year, I think a lot of people thought that this Texans offense is going to be so good. There's going to be enough to go around for all 3 of those wide receivers. And that's not true. Tank Dell has been definitely left out. But
Sure.
now Nico Collins is gone. So, I mean, like I said, if not now, then when? Like this has to be his moment to produce. And if not, he might be droppable if he doesn't produce when Nico
Yeah.
Collins is
No,
on the bench.
I'm right there with you. If he doesn't produce this week, he might be droppable. Yeah, that's tough.
Speaking of
But yes,
droppable, who are some players that you're flowing out of your lineup this week?
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna start with a wide receiver. His name is Christian Kirk on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are going up against Chicago, which is a formidable defense. Chicago has a lot of young DBs, and they have a Brisker that's really good veteran. They're all super fast, and Chicago can get to the quarterback. So good luck, Trevor Lawrence. I believe in Christian Kirk's ability. I do not believe in Trevor Lawrence's offensive line and his own ability to deliver the football. So
I do not like this as a Christian Kirk
yeah,
owner.
I'm if I have Christian Kirk, I am flowing him out this week. It is in London. It's like the weird superpower of the Jags. Like they have this weird connection over there that they just get like super juiced up whenever they play over there. So that's their one little bit. That's his one little benefit. But man, that Chicago defense is just so strong, and good luck to any of the pass catchers in Jacksonville.
Dude, I'm in multiple leagues where I don't know why I did this to myself, but I'm in multiple leagues where I have Nico Collins and Christian Kirk, and I'm relying on those guys, and I just lost Nico Collins. So it's like
Yeah,
I
and
cannot afford to bench him, but if I was in a normal 10 or 12 team league where I could afford to bench him, I definitely would. Another bench for me, another player that I'm flowing out of my lineup, Anthony Richardson and or Joe Flacco. I'm not starting either one of those
wow,
quarterbacks in this matchup.
wow,
How does
yeah.
that make you feel? What do you what's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I Tennessee is good. Their defense is pretty good, but I don't know. I mean, I think Joe Flacco is definitely the better fantasy option, but this week is just I would agree. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I would agree. Joe Flacco, there's got to be better options this week. I mean, heck, even Brock Purdy against Seattle. You probably got Kirk Cousins on the waiver wire. You probably got Daniel Jones on the waiver wire.
Oh,
I
yeah. So
mean,
I thought about it, dude. I definitely
yeah,
thought about picking Daniel Jones as one of my starts of the week. I was just like, no way.
right.
I cannot be associated with that man. Like,
So yeah, I mean, I would any of those three I just mentioned, I would probably play over Flacco. I'm going to flow out the Cincinnati running backs, both Zach Moss and Chase Brown. I think they're both. I think it's a great 1-2 punch that they got going on over there. I think Chase Brown is really coming together, but they're going to New York. We just saw Seattle and Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet probably the better 1-2 punch that we would have said going into that game
yep.
than Zach Moss and Chase Brown, and they just got held back. I think Cincinnati's going to just stick with the whole Joe Burrow plan, and Zach Moss and Chase Brown, I'm flowing out of my lineup for this coming Sunday night game.
Yeah, that's tough because they've both just played so well lately. Your logic totally makes sense, but I'll hit you with a caveat here because it seems like Zach Moss is questionable. If Moss misses and it's just Chase Brown, how do you feel about that?
Ooh,
For
that's a
Chase
good
Brown.
question. Yeah, I didn't realize Zach Moss got hurt that game, or came out of it hurt, whatever it may be.
Yeah, he kind of got his ankle rolled up on near the end, and so
Mm,
they're saying he's a maybe for this week.
then you're probably I mean, you probably have to play Chase Brown if it's just him because of the volume and just how efficient how crazy that offense has been lately, and
Yeah.
they get to the 2-3 goal line, 2-3 yard line. I mean, they've definitely had an emphasis of running the football when they're within 5 yards.
That's true. Yeah, no, and it's just such a perfect 50-50 split. They don't even divvy it up like, okay, this guy gets the 2 minute drill, this guy gets the between the 20. It's like they're splitting every role. It's like
Right.
super frustrating for fantasy. So yeah, if they're both out there, I have no problem with this take.
Sure.
And then I got a running back for you, and this is going to be tough because he's been doing well, but I am benching Brian Robinson against the Ravens this week.
Wow. That is probably the spiciest, boldest one yet.
Man, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but this is what I wrote down, okay? And then you can tell me if I'm making any sense or not.
Sure.
This game, yes, it is the highest like over under, but the Ravens have probably the best run defense. I've heard them described on other fantasy shows as a pass funnel. they just clog the middle. They're so good at stopping the run. They force teams to throw, and that's how you get Joe Burrow throwing for 500 yards. So Brian Robinson's game is not the pass catcher. Brian Robinson is a pure running back. He's very good at it. Just pound the rock. And the Ravens are just not a team that you can really do that successfully against. I think this is just going to be an Austin Eckler game, who's also been doing really well lately. So I don't know. That's I'm just calling my shot.
Sure.
That's just
Yeah,
game script wise. I don't see this being a big Brian Robinson game.
Sure. I understand that thought process. He also got hurt coming out of that last game against the Browns. They've been involving 7-year vet Jeremy McNichols a lot more. Austin Eckler's healthy. And then you have the biggest competition in my mind. You have the biggest competition with Jaden Daniels. He's gonna see that
rushing
open gap
touchdowns.
and run. Yeah. So, it's hard to bench that. I mean, he looks like one of the better, like probably a top 5 running back out of everybody right now. I mean,
Whoa.
he. In fantasy wise, like he is just a production touchdown machine. He's telling everybody, "Yeah, I got shot. I don't care. I'm here to play."
It's a small sample size. Eckler isn't getting many carries, but when Eckler does get carries,
No.
he's averaged over 11 yards per carry in both of the last 2 games.
Who?
Austin Eckler.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. And Eckler's been hurt for most of the season so far too. So
He's only missed
Okay, I'll
one
lean in.
game, but yeah.
Oh, he only missed one game? I thought he was out for a couple more. Okay.
Yeah, Eckler's only missed one game, and he played last
Oh,
week
okay.
against the Browns.
Okay.
Ran the ball
Okay.
6 times for 67 yards.
Wow. Yeah, that team is fun to watch.
That's-
I'll lean in. I think with Brian Robinson getting hurt and the biggest competition having I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a heck of a game. I can't wait to watch that one. So, I'll lean in on this one.
Alrighty. Hey, just wanted to jump in here real quick to remind you all about our partnership with BETSTAMP. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and you want to support our show, we highly recommend signing up for your next sportsbook through the show's Signup Expert link in the description. This will allow you to take advantage of many new user offers available. And don't forget to bet responsibly by tracking all of your bets and getting yourself the best odds through the BetStamp app. Back to the show! It's time for the Fantasy Flow 4-pack. We're going to hit you with 4 games, 4 picks against the spread for Week 6. Andy freaking Phillips, who's your first pick?
Ooh, talking about Washington, talking about Baltimore. Which direction? Am I going left? Am I going right? What? I'm going left, baby. I'm going Washington plus 6.5. I could not believe this line I saw. Washington's been killing it. Baltimore's been really coming along. I get it that it's in Baltimore. This line almost feels like last year's Washington, where it would have been with like Sam Howell, like Vegas would have given Washington like 7.5, maybe 8.
Yeah.
And they're giving them 6.5 points. I mean, I'm taking those. I'm grabbing into that bag and I'm taking those points from Vegas.
I know the Ravens look so good, but like Jaden Daniels is just on such a heater. And when you have an offense with that guy on that run, and you give him 6.5 points. It's like, how could you not? I was shocked by that point spread.
Yeah.
Totally
I'm
shocked.
going Washington plus 6.5.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I'll start with this one because I already hinted at it earlier this episode. Lions, Cowboys, another high-scoring affair, but I think the Lions can cover -3. I hate that it's 3. I wish it was 2.5 or 3.5, just so that we don't have a push. But
Yeah.
Lions -3. The Dallas defense, even though they're missing some stars, they were good enough to contain the ultra stoppable Steelers offense, but they are not good enough to contain the Lions offense with an extra week of rest, extra week to prepare. I think it's going to be exciting. I think there's going to be some fireworks, but I expect the Lions to handle business.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I mean, the Lions they might have a couple flaws here and there. It's still kind of early in the season, but they're going to win this one handily. They'll probably win it by a field goal, I'm guessing.
Well, that would be gross. Don't put that into the universe.
My second pick is going to be my Kirk Bangs. The Atlanta Falcons -6 against Carolina. Carolina looks bad. Andy Dalton looks bad. We get a classic matchup of Andy Dalton versus Kirk Cousins. I mean, we could have been saying that like 7 years ago.
These guys have been doing war for ages.
Exactly. And guess what? It's a divisional game this time around.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk, 509 yards last game, definitely found his groove back. Carolina looks decimated on all fronts. Had to bring Bryce Young back in from the grave last week, so yeah, this is just an easy one for Kirk. I think the game was just
out of hand there.
That's what I mean.
I was worried when Andy Dalton stepped in for the Panthers, and they looked super competent, and I was like, oh no, what's going on? Is this a team we have to worry about? And ever since then, the answer's been no. But I like what you're doing. You're picking games with big point spreads, and you're taking the points with one game, and you're taking the other team to cover in the other game. So that's going to be really interesting to track. Speaking of tracking, a quick update. Last week in the Fantasy Flow 4-pack, we went 2-1-1 because we picked Andy, you picked the Colts. It was +3, and they lost by exactly 3. So that was a push. But we hit on 2 other games, so 2-1-1. That puts us just barely above 500 on the year, which is good. And I'm going to hit y'all with this last one, then we'll get out of here. And like I said, I almost went Bears over in London, but I'm nervous because things get weird over there, okay?
Over the pond.
I'm going Broncos +3 versus the Chargers.
Ooh.
We had a lot of Broncos talk last episode, and we talked about how they're going to go on this run because their schedule's nice and soft. They have some divisional home games. They took care of business against the Raiders, and now the Chargers come to town. Yes, the Chargers have an extra week of rest, but I'm not really worried about their offense or their defense. I don't even know what the Chargers' strengths are. And the Broncos, they seem to just be getting a little bit better each and every week. So, and I'm getting 3 points, and it's at home. Come on.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I said last overreaction that Broncos are going to go 4-0, and guess what? They won their game against the Raiders. So now they have to be on track to win this game. So, Bo Nix fan club right here, apparently. We didn't sign up for it at the beginning of the season, but we're here now.
We're doubling down. This is it. All right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you, buddy.
Take out those loans and parlay all 4 of these. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but
we like that bet a lot.
All right. This was a blast. There's your Fantasy Flow 4-pack. That's it for us for this week. Shout out Seahawks, 49ers, Thursday Night Football. Go Hawks. Andy?
Go Hawks.
See you next time.
See you.
Thanks a ton for making it to the end of the episode. You're a real one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's a free, easy way to support the show, and it really helps us out. And leave us your comments down below if you're on YouTube, or send in your questions at thefantasyflowpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time.